Well, hello there, and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. This one is for Minecraft 1.9. It sort of exploits a glitch to allow for fast travel, but this tutorial is not about that glitch because it's been documented already. This is about using that glitch to make a station, a transportation station. I want to say rail station, but it's more of a boat station. You'll see in a second. So let's show you what's going on here. So obviously, as you can see, I didn't really build this for aesthetics. You can make it look better if you want. I just made it functional. But yeah. So let me just make sure I've got, for demonstration, boats in here. I do not. So what you're going to want to do is get boats and somehow get them in here, either manually or funnel them in through something, I don't know. But once you have boats in that dispenser, you can come over here, step on the plate to get a boat, and then get in the boat, and it'll send you on your way. And notice how fast you're moving. This will actually transport people at about 20 blocks per second, which is extremely fast. I'm pretty sure it's faster than minecarts. It's not faster than the entity hitbox glitch that I've seen people use, where you get like a bunch of cows or another mob in a tiny space and then jump into them and it pushes you really fast. It's not that fast, but it is pretty damn fast. And this exploits something that, I called it a glitch. It's not really a glitch, it's just sort of a property of boats that kind of acts weirdly. So the way boats work is their speed depends on what block is below them. And so normally that's going to be water, but if it's not water, it has some different effects. If there's air below the boat, it will move at 20 meters per second, 20 blocks per second. So what this does is, if you get a boat and you position it so that there's air directly underneath it, like this track here, and then you push it with a piston and a sticky slime block, it will move at 20 meters per second until it stops, until it hits something. And it doesn't matter what's 2 blocks underneath, that can be anything, doesn't matter what the track is made of, all it matters is that this track has 1 block of air all the way down. And so yeah, I just thought it would be nice to automate the system instead of having to manually place your boats and everything. And it actually turned out to be a little more difficult than I thought, because automatically dispensing boats only works if there's water, and if there's water, it stays over the water. So my first thought was, dispense water, dispense a boat, pull the water back in, and the boat will fall. It didn't work quite that way, because boats are weird. When you dispense them from a dispenser, first of all, they only dispense in one orientation. So I was trying to get the boats to face across the gap here, which makes them a little more stable and reliable, but it doesn't work that way. They only face one orientation. But it turns out, as long as you're quick enough to get into the boat and launch it, it doesn't matter. It'll be fine going, across the gap instead of, perpendicular to it. But the other problem is, when a boat is dispensed, at least in this snapshot, which is the latest 1.9 snapshot, it actually kind of gets dispensed like partway into this block, into the dispenser itself, which made it, not fall down, because it would just be stuck up here. It was very annoying to do. So basically I had to add this in, and so if I just step you through the process before I show you how to build it, what happens is when you step on this pressure plate, the first thing that happens is it comes through here, and the signal gets split off into 2 directions. The first one comes in here, which turns this, this repeater and this comparator turn this into a 2-tick pulse, and that first comes up here and dispenses the water, and the water is held back by all these signs. So it dispenses the water, and then these repeaters, 8 ticks later, will send another pulse from there into the dispenser, which sucks the water back up. So the water stays out for 8 ticks. And then the other half of this signal splits off and comes over here, goes through these repeaters, which is 7 ticks later, I think? 4, 5, 6, yeah. 7 ticks later, it comes over here and dispenses the boat. So 1 tick before the water is sucked back in, the boat gets dispensed, which, as I said, gets kind of stuck halfway through here. So then 2 ticks after that, this piston pushes the boat into the hole and it falls down. And because of the blocks here, even though the boat gets stuck in this direction, once it's pushed, it will be aligned in this direction to be perfectly over that track. So it falls onto the track. When you get in the boat, you've stepped off the pressure plate, and by the way, you don't need these. This is just for testing. So, bye-bye. When you get in the boat, you've stepped off the pressure plate, and now underground we have, if I can get to it, we have this dust, which is powered by the pressure plate, inverted by a torch, and then another little 2-tick pulse limiter here. That goes into another torch, which goes into a third torch. And that torch powers the block next to this piston. So basically what happens is when you step on this pressure plate and then you get off of it, it will send a 2-tick pulse into this piston, which pushes this slime block into the boat and sends you on your way. So the overall result is what you saw, where I step on here, a boat is dispensed, I get in the boat, and I'm launched off. So yeah. So, and then at the other side here, I have a sticky piston, basically the same as over there, except without all the launching mechanisms. That is not necessary. You could build another one of these over here, or you could just put any block over here and it'll work just fine. You just need something to stop you. So yeah, that was just for demonstration. Okay, so how do we build this? So instead of rebuilding this, I'm just going to step you through it and point to all the pieces. So the first thing you need is a pressure plate, obviously. And that pressure plate needs to go up, or it needs to have redstone dust going up 2 blocks. And then that redstone line needs to go into a 2-tick repeater here, and then also into a comparator that is on subtract mode, 1 block ahead of that repeater. And then you need redstone dust here going from the repeater into the comparator. So that's going to create your 2-tick pulse limiter. And then the output of that pulse limiter just comes back around here, and then you go up a block and then up another block and just send the line over here into this dispenser, which has a bucket of water in it. Now this gap here is actually very important. If you don't put this gap here and you just run the line straight across, you're going to get some bud issues where this block being powered will indirectly power this dispenser. So the first time it triggers, it will not update when the redstone turns off, which means it won't get that second pulse and it'll just leave the water out, which will obviously not allow your boat to fall. So you definitely need this gap here. So keep that in mind. This block is not necessary. It just so happens this world was generated in a cold biome. So this block is just to stop the water source from freezing. But if you're not in a cold biome, or if you already have a roof or something, you don't need this. So yeah. And then around the other side, coming out of the repeater from the 2-tick pulse limiter, we bring the redstone signal up another 2 blocks, and then across here, and then into 2 repeaters, 1 set to 4 ticks, 1 set to 3 ticks, so we get that 7-tick delay. And then we run that into this block, which is next to this dispenser, and this is where you're going to put all your boats. So like I said, you can have people manually put the boats in, or you can, have some sort of automatic collection system with cactus or whatever else you want to use and some hoppers. It's up to you how you want to collect the boats. I just do it manually for this, but this is where your boats go. And then you have that same signal go next to it into a 2-tick repeater, going into a sticky piston with a slime block on its face, pointed in the direction of that dispenser. So the slime block should be on that dispenser. And this is what's going to push your boat out into the hole to fall down. And then you need this hole, which is 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2. So 3 by 2 here. And put signs on every single block underneath the water dispenser in that hole. If you miss a sign, your water is going to fall down. And if you have anything below there, you will have a bad day. So, like redstone or anything, so make sure you don't miss any of those signs. And then you want to place blocks next to this dispenser and then one underneath it to make this little gap to align your boat when it gets dispensed. And make sure that this dispenser and this dispenser both line up with your track underneath. And so that's the redstone part of it, at least the boat dispensary part. And then what you want to do is down here you want to have your track, which is just a 1 block high straight line. Unfortunately, as far as I know, this doesn't work with turns, although I can, I'm going to do a little testing and see if there's a way to do it, but for now it's straight tracks only. And then 2 blocks in front of your slime block here, you want to place a torch so that when the boat falls, it lands on top of the torch instead of falling down into the track. That's just, again, for more alignment. And then you have this sticky piston with a slime block on it, and you do need a block next to that. And so the last thing is just to make that sticky piston trigger after you've gotten in the boat. And so for that, you do what I showed you before. Underneath your pressure plate, you put, underneath the block under your pressure plate, you put redstone, and then on that block you put a torch. And then you build that same pulse limiter that I showed you up there, which is that repeater, and then a comparator in subtract mode here, and then redstone dust connecting it in this configuration. And then the output of that comparator goes into a block with a torch, and then that signal gets run around into this block here, which has a torch on it. And this torch is directly under the block next to your piston. And and that's about it. And just keep in mind, this design right here, this block right here, is necessary to keep the dust on this block from connecting with this dust. So you do need this here. And that should be it. So then once you have your boat, you don't need to really do anything else once you have your boats in there. Oh, and then of course cover everything up, but that's kind of implied. And then once you have your boats in there, all you need to do is step on the plate, wait for the boat to drop, and then get in the boat. Okay, so boats are finicky things. It may not work sometimes. If it doesn't work, you just break your boat, and obviously if you're in survival mode, you'll get your boat materials back. And then just try it again. Sometimes the alignment doesn't work perfectly, and then it starts moving, but get in the boat, and you're on your way. Yeah. So you can see you have to get in your boat quickly, because sometimes it will start moving on its own, because again, boats are weird. But as long as you get in your boat quickly enough, you can do that. And this is a pretty short track, but you can go as far as you want. Like I said, it's 20 blocks per second, which is pretty fast. So, yeah. So that is the boat rail station, which is officially what I'm going to be calling it now. So until next time, keep boating and keep redstoning.